Everybody, what is the internet? What is the World Wide Web? What are browsers? They're all connected. You all know that, but sometimes it can get a bit confusing as to what each one is. So I like to do a video each term kind of explaining these things a little bit more. Hopefully we can clarify some things so that we can then build on that and we can have a better understanding of all this stuff totally. So first and foremost, what is the internet? Well, in the lecture, you learned a little bit about the internet. You learned a little bit about its history and how it seemed to be created by the U.S. government, the Department of Defense, and maybe it was partially done by accident, and all these kind of nifty things kind of emerged from there. But then this web emerged, World Wide Web emerged a while later. I thought those were the same things. Okay, the internet is right there in the word itself. These are interconnected networks, millions and millions and millions and millions of them all over the world. Think of how you're accessing the internet right now, or actually watching this video. You are on your own LAN, probably, your local area network. You have a modem and you have a router somewhere in your home. I have mine right over there. And this is what allows, through a cable line or something else or fiber optics, for a connection to come into your home. And then it can basically become wireless through a router, and you can pick this up on your phone and on your laptop and on your smart TV and everything like that. You are on a network. Your network is speaking to Bryant Stratton College's network. And when you're talking to your friends, there's a network there that they have, and there's a bunch of networks in between, which is allowing you to send those goofy cat pictures, via Facebook or something like that. That's the internet, is interconnected networks. That's it. And this is really, a lot of it is just hardware. It's not just computers, it's not just screens, it's not just cable that's coming into your house or something, but it's literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of cable all over the world. I mean, think about this for a minute. There are literally thousands of miles of cable at the bottoms of the oceans that connect, basically allow the internet to function worldwide. Added to that, routing stations all over the place and satellites up above. This is the internet. That's the internet. This is the hardware. This is what allows us to be connected, okay? That's the internet, hardware stuff. On top of that is the web, the World Wide Web, WWW, okay? That's what sits on top of it. That's all of the websites. That's all the social media stuff, social networking media platforms. That's the stuff when you're watching Sling TV or Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime on your smart TV. That's the World Wide Web that functions on the internet, okay? So all the interactions that we have online, that's the World Wide Web. So that's the big difference there, is the World Wide Web needs the internet, and it needs to kind of almost sit on the internet in order to work. So for us, we use browsers, these certain software programs that allow us to interact with web pages seamlessly on the internet, all right? And what they do essentially is they translate the code, because all these web pages are coded. They're coded in a markup language, HTML, XML, all these different kinds of things that you really can't read on your own, okay? It looks like jumbled, nonsense to you. So you have a browser that basically translates that, and translates a really complex code that is videos and GIFs and images and everything like that. So a browser is going to help translate. It also basically asks for permission from a certain network for you to be able to access information or web pages on that network. So it kind of asks for permission and it translates. And at the same time, it does do other things as well. It tries to keep you safe. Some do better than others. We'll find that out as the week progresses. But that's a lot of what a browser does. There's a lot more that a browser does as well. But it really tries to make it easier for you to access websites that sit on the internet. Now, the internet and the web, it's absolutely massive and is growing all the time. So a question students often ask is, well, what really is the web? I hear all these strange terms. There's the surface web, and there's the dark web, and there's the deep web. And I'm scared that my kids are going to somehow stumble onto the dark web and start stealing people's social security cards and selling them or something. No, that's not how it works. Google and Bing and all these other search engines are there to help you search with your browser what's known as the surface web. Okay, these are all web pages that are indexed by major search engines, and there's tons and tons of them, limitless, it seems. But that's a tiny fraction of what is actually on the web, what's actually sitting on the internet. The overwhelming majority of the web is what's called the deep web. And so think of it like an iceberg. The tip, you see only a portion of it. Under the water is the bulk of it. That's the deep web. There's nothing sinister there. Think about your banking information. Think about social security information. All these things that are password protected. All these things that are on databases that, like your iTunes account, Netflix queues. This is all stuff that's in the deep web. This is stuff that's not accessible via Google or anything like that. You can't Google that. So that's the vast majority of it is just data. It's storage. It's stuff like that. It's really mundane. It's really boring. There is an element of the deep web, which is known as the dark web. And that's not like some sort of corner over here, but it's basically people who use the deep web and really try to, make their stuff very inaccessible to people for reasons you can probably guess, because of criminal activity, because of illicit material and behavior. And that's part of the dark web. And this is done often on servers that are protected servers. And you need certain browsers to be able to access this. And look, I don't recommend going and doing this. You can find plenty of YouTube videos on how to do this. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But that is a portion of the deep web, which is known as the dark web. And this is where you hear these stories of people who are selling illegal medication, or they're selling people, right? Or they're selling guns, or there's, bad kinds of, pornography, or, what have you there. It is a real thing, and it does exist, but it's not one of those things that all of a sudden, like, you click on something and boom, you're there, and the FBI is going to be knocking down your door a minute later. That's not really how it works. But you need to be aware that it is there, and it is part of what's known as the deep web. But the vast majority of the deep web, which is the vast majority of the World Wide Web, is really not sinister. It's all that boring stuff like your Christmas list on Amazon. That's just password protected, okay? Your banking information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that gives you an understanding of what the internet is, what the web is, and how we access that, and that's going to be through browsers. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions at all, if you're curious about this, if you just want to learn more, let me know. I love talking about this stuff. I've gone on for 7 minutes right now. So if you have any questions, please, you know where to find me. Thanks, folks.